Hey everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Meghan Skrepenski. She is a mom of two girls. She has a degree in physical education and health education. She is also the creator of Raising Strong Girls boot camps. And it's all about getting rid of the mean girl mentality and all about building up women or girls to really know that kindness and that true beauty comes from strength and all that from within. And she has a military background, and all of that put together, she's formulated the Raising Strong Girls boot camps, and she's here today to talk to us about fear and tell us more about her story. So Meghan, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be able to share with you today.
Yes, I'm so excited. Where are you tuning in from?
Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, cool. I love letting people say where they are located because a lot of the guests that I've had are from all over. So it's really fun to hear, like, you're in Wisconsin, by me, woohoo. And we got a lot of snow, so that's interesting, right?
True. Not always interesting, just kind of.
It's literally white walls outside right now. Like, you can barely see over my mound of snow when I'm standing there. It's pretty ridiculous, but I digress. It'll be gone someday and we'll be complaining that it's too hot or whatever.
Right.
You know, we get it all.
That'll
So
be the next thing. It's too hot again.
we'll just roll with it. It's all good. So Meghan, go ahead and tell us something interesting about you and your life.
Well, I'm actually one of six kids. So second oldest of six kids. We grew up in a little farmette in the middle of the country. And so we ended up spending a lot of time together, playing outside, playing with our cats and our dogs. And my mom would basically send us outside any chance she got. I think that's probably what happens when you have six kids. You just need a little break sometimes. Yeah. But they're really, really super supportive family, and they've been awesome. And from there, we've actually had 4 out of the 6 of us join the Air Force. So my mom has raised up a generation of warriors.
I love that. Wow. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And your families, because that's incredible. That is really interesting. So 6 kids, and you're from Wisconsin originally. Mm-hmm. Cool. So let's dive into talking about fear, and tell us about a significant time in your life that fear held you back from living your life fully.
So I was reflecting on this, and it's actually, there's been a couple of occasions where it's really something that I've struggled with. And I think that's actually part of the belief in the system behind Raising Strong Girls, is that we all have that time in our lives where we've been afraid of something, and we've had that little girl that has had something happen to her, and we're trying to overcome that, and we're trying to get past that, whether it was some mean words that were spoken or the way that somebody treated us or something really terrible that happened to us. We all are trying to get past that past and find who we're meant to be in this future. And so I was reflecting back on this question, like, what are these things that I've had to overcome? What are some fears that I've had to get past to become who I am today and to really embrace who I'm meant to be? And one of the big ones that really impacted me was that I actually had a really terrible relationship prior to the relationship I'm in now, where I really was, it wasn't a physically abusive relationship, but it definitely was mentally abusive. It was, I'm going to punch a wall because I'm angry at you, and now look at what you made me do. And it was one of those situations where I felt like I was totally stuck as a newly moved out of the house teenager, and that this was my first love, and then I should marry him because that's the right thing to do. And you have to make these choices that are going to create the rest of your life. And so you feel like you're pigeonholed or stuck in a certain place because of things that people are telling you you're supposed to do, first off, and then like the choice that you yourself made that put you in that position. But realizing that sometimes that fear will hold you back from making the choices that will give you the greatest freedom is also something I think we all need to come to realize. And so after it was almost 4 years of being in a really, really bad relationship where I wasn't trusted. I myself didn't know who I was meant to be anymore. I gained a whole bunch of weight. I stopped working out, which is one of my best things I know I can do for myself physically and mentally. I was cut off from all friendships and my family because they didn't like him either. And from there, I then went on and I just had lost like all self-esteem. And so realizing that I had to like refine myself and step out on a limb and take a chance and like say I can do this on my own was when I realized that fear didn't have to hold me back anymore. It didn't have to hold me down. I didn't have to stay in that stuck position and that stuck feeling.
Yeah. Wow. So were you, did you join the military later then?
Yes. So actually, right after I broke up with him was when I decided that I wanted to join the military. I wanted to do something different with my life. I needed to go back to school and I wanted to find a way to pay for that because that was also a huge struggle.
Right.
And I actually come from a long line of very strong-willed, strong women. My great-grandmother, so back in the early 1900s, went on and got her college degree. Then my grandmother went on and got her college degree. So when I, as the oldest granddaughter of our family, decided I wasn't going to go on to get a degree, and there was 40 other kids following behind me, or well, almost 30 other kids following behind me, that she was like, you have to do this. You have to go on for education. It's so, so, so important. Nobody can ever take that away from you for the rest of your life, and it opens doors. And so, you know, these heart-to-heart chats that I had with her opened me up to say, well, I'm really, really struggling right now. I'm struggling financially. I'm struggling physically. I think that I'm stuck. And she actually co-signed a loan. I don't even know if the whole rest of my family knows this. She co-signed a loan for me to be able to consolidate credit card debt so that I could go back to school, so that I could say, I don't have that holding me back anymore. And
Yeah.
I can now go on to that next step. And so stepping out of that fear and deciding to go back to school was when I realized I need to have a secondary option. I can't pay for this anymore. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm eating ramen. I have nothing for me right now. And so I decided to join the military at that point and to help pay for school. But a really amazing thing is that it helped shape me into the strong person that I am today. And I've been in for 18 years, which was much longer than I would have initially thought with deciding to go back just for school benefits.
Yeah. Well, you must love it, obviously. I mean, 18 years, that is a career in being part of the military family. So, kudos to you for stepping out into, especially the fact that you were the first woman in your family to be like, I don't know, questioning it.
Right.
And deciding for yourself, like, oh, is this really what I want to do? And then making the decision for the military is another. So were the military part of it? So was your other family members in the military before you then?
No. So I am the second oldest of
Okay.
the oldest of all of the grandchildren. So it was a decision that I made to help pay for my education. And then my brothers kind of followed in the same footsteps behind me as well. And it was my grandfather actually had been in the military, but he didn't really push for any of us to join the military. Because I think that during the World War II timeframe, it was just really, in Korea and Vietnam, it was very, very difficult on a lot of families, so that nobody really thought people should join and go do that for whatever the benefit might be.
Right.
For me, it's been a soul-changing, life-changing experience. And I joined for the military benefits, and I joined because I thought it'd be good for my life. But I actually have stayed because of the people. I've stayed because of the leadership qualities it's instilled in me, and the fact that I really enjoy working with the people that I work with, and serving my country has been really an amazing experience.
That is incredible, because I mean, obviously it has shaped you to who you are, because the boot camps that you're doing now with girls, I mean, that is a huge base of, being as an older child in your family and being a leader, and then again being a leader, showing the rest of your family the education and the military, and then getting the tools for the boot camp stuff is all part of your military experience, all getting combined into one thing that you are now giving back to not only just girls, but your own daughters, and being able to show them like, hey, you're so much more than all of these other things, and kindness and building them strong is just the most important thing. So I think that's amazing. And yeah, you definitely wouldn't be who you are without having those life experiences in the military, and your family supporting that. So that's incredible. So when fear was holding you back from in that relationship, right? So when fear was holding you back, and we'd like to know, like, where were you mentally during that time, and how did you feel about yourself during that?
So during that time, I think that as a person, when we're stuck, when we feel just completely stuck, we have a tendency to feel overwhelmed. And that's one of those choices of something gets you and knocks you down, and you have a choice of staying on the ground and crying and saying, woe is me, and this is terrible, and this is life, and this is how it's going to be forever. Or you have a choice of getting up and dusting yourself off after crying for a little bit, because it is okay to like be sad and be upset.
Yes.
And so I was just in a super fearful place where I was like, how am I going to eat? How am I going to live? How am I going to be okay? Is anyone ever going to love me again? Am I damaged? Am I going to be, am I not a good girlfriend or wife material? Am I a terrible person? Like I've been told for this whole time. Like, what is it that I need to do to be a good enough person to be in a relationship again? And so I was just very, very fearful of going out on my own and having to stand on my own 2 feet, and if I was going to make it. And really, like, where was I going to go next? What was I going to do next? Was I going to, because I couldn't move back home because my parents had 5 other kids at home still. So they were pretty busy. And so it was like, what do? I have to do this on my own. And I think a big piece of that, again, is going back to, I decided to go back to working at a YMCA. And when I did that, I decided to start working out again, like regularly, every single day. And when you do that, when you put that time into shifting who you see yourself as to who you can be or who you really are, there's a whole shift in your mindset. It's about loving yourself. And so eating right, like I started smoking because of this person. And I know that that's not good for you. I mean, I was a swimmer. I was like an athlete. I was all of these things in high school. And then I just became none of those things when I was in that relationship. I lost all of my friendships. I lost, who I was as a person. I just was completely like who he wanted me to be. And so fear let me fall into that trap of feeling like I had to be that for him. And so I realized that when I started working out again, that first off, this made me feel really good. Why wasn't I doing this more often? Why wasn't I taking care of myself physically? Because that made me feel better about who I was. And it releases those endorphins in the brain. It gets you feeling good that way. So that's where like the piece of raising strong girls comes into play, as we talk about the strong body, mind, and spirit. So it's not just a physical transformation when you exercise, although that is important. Having a strong body is important because you only get one for the rest of your life. So you want to treat yourself like you love yourself. And that is a big piece we really need to embrace as women and as girls, that you only get one body. So what are you doing? Are you overeating? Are you smoking? Are you doing drugs or alcohol? Are you self-medicating with whatever else it might be to make yourself feel better? Or are you saying, I'm going to get past those things. I'm going to do these things that I know are good for me because I love myself. And so once I realized that if I exercise right, well, now I don't really want to smoke as much because I'm exercising. Like, that's not good for me. So I cut down from smoking like a pack a day to smoking 1 cigarette a day for a very long time. And then I finally was like, I don't even need this anymore. I can let this go out the door and I can become a different person. So now I'm no longer that person that would just sit and watch TV all the time and feel terrible about myself, and who never took care of myself, who would do all these things just for him. I was like, no, I'm doing things for me, and this makes me feel good. And the other piece of that is, once I did that, my self-esteem skyrocketed. So now I'm feeling better physically. So now I'm like, I don't have to stay with this person that doesn't treat me the way I deserve to be treated. I am taking care of me physically, and you know what? Mentally, I am better than this. I need to be in a different place. I need to be able to get past this fear of being alone and go out and embrace who I'm meant to be, because this is not me.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible, because loving yourself is the core of everything. And so everything you just said makes total sense. So tell me again, like, what age were you during this life shift that was happening?
So it was right before I got out of high school until almost before I was 21. So
Okay.
right. Yep. So that early childhood, super impactful space in your life when you're supposed to be becoming a young adult, and who you're meant to be. You're like, I am an adult now, and this is, why am I letting someone else tell me who I am?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And that special time where you're like, okay, and that literally is like the gut check right before, because 21, like, then you're fully released into like anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really making those hard decisions for yourself at that point, like, okay, I don't need this isn't good for me, these things make me feel that much better. And like that is kind of like the prime time that if you're gonna make mistakes and like find the wrong people, like that is probably the most not convenient, but the
Confusing
most
time.
popular time that people are having those kinds of things, those realizations forming in their lives, because you just finished being a teenager and going out in the world and actually learning more about who you are as a person. And to have like the negativity there, you were like over it after 4 years.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, that's huge. And you already touched on a little bit, but so the relationships obviously all changed from the friends and people that were by you, because you said your family had like stopped talking to you because they couldn't handle him either. And friends, obviously the same situation. So everything was like totally flipped for you after you got rid of him and found yourself again, right?
Yeah, it was a life change. It was honestly like every single piece of my life. My parents, my family were like, we are so like grateful to have you back around and for you to be you again. And for like the friends in my life, I have a couple of friends that actually still kind of stick with me throughout that time frame, but a lot of those people that kind of came and gone, I was like, they're all his friends. I have nobody to turn to. So that was another one of those super lonely times where you think like you're stuck and you have to stay there because these are his friends and this is his money and this is his, whatever it would be.
Right.
And honestly, I would just tell every girl or every woman that's ever been in that position, first off, think it through. Like, it shouldn't be an emotional, like, I just don't want to do this anymore. But if you know that you're in a bad situation where you are no longer who you're meant to be, and every single day you are afraid of tripping a trigger because they are a loose cannon, or they are, you know, they're going to be angry and they're going to do things that are going to, make you feel terrible, then you know you're not in that situation that is serving you as a person. And I'm just grateful that I didn't stick with it and like think that I had to get married into that relationship and had to, you know, like then we had kids, because I think it would have been a lot more difficult if we had to cut that tie. But I think that I would have had to find that strength and do it anyway. And so that's the other thing. It's just like when life is really, you're really fearful of taking a step outside of what your comfort zone is, even if you know that comfort zone isn't a good place for you, you have to do it, because it's maybe hard right then. At that point in time, you may have more struggles, you may have financial woes, but that's when your time is to reach out to the people that you know you matter to most, your family or your old friends, or the people that you can count on to be there for you in those tough situations. And that's where really that self-love, again, coming back to doing the things that make you feel good, not on a whim, but knowing that like the rest of your life, like envision yourself in the same scenario now. If it's a bad scenario, where will you be in 5 years? Is it going to be better or is it going to be worse? Are you going to be more financially tied together? Are you going to have kids? Are you going to be worried for your kids' health and wellness? Is this not the situation you want to be in for the rest of your life, then you need to cut those ties. And so it came down to like, when I cut ties, I literally came away with like this whole list of, I will never date somebody that treats me this way again. They have to be, you know, tall, dark, and handsome. They have to like kids. They have to have a dream and for a brighter future. And they have to have, you know, like educational or life goals. And then also they have to like to dance. That was the big one.
Did you find that?
So, yes, and necessary, like totally. That was a big part of my life, especially in my younger years, not quite as much these days, but so there's so many good things that can come from cutting ties with the negative of your past because of those fears that are holding you back. You actually open doors for really amazing things to come into your life when you let the old stuff go.
Yeah, absolutely. You release that energy and open it up for more, excuse me, more positive space to be filled. And I mean, everything that you said, I'm just like firing things off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I going to say? Because everything you talked about, I can relate to. I also had a relationship that was very similar at the same time, like no joke. So I'm relating to a lot of the things that you're touching on. But I think the biggest thing is really finding ourselves and being brave enough to just say like enough is enough. So talking about that, like what really compelled you to say like, okay, enough? Like, was there a certain event or night that something happened specifically that you were just like, this is the last straw, I'm totally done? Or was it just simply like, as you just slowly came out of it, realizing I'm better without him, I don't need this, and just leaving it? Was there anything specific
Absolutely.
to helping you jump ship?
Well, I think it's certainly the second piece more than the first was realizing
Okay.
I'm better without being in that situation. And that's been actually a couple times in my life. So
Yeah.
like with that, realizing that we don't need to hold on to negative relationships, whether it's a boyfriend, a husband, a friend, a girlfriend, whatever it might be, like to let the negative go, because I've done this before, but I'm like, when you put your hands out and you're like, okay, you know what? I give up. I'm just going to let this go. I'm not going to try to hold on to something that's really, really terrible for me or for my life or for my heart or for my future, because it's supposed to be good. I'm going to keep holding on to it. And like, first off, things can't grow that way. And secondly, you can't receive that way. So when you go, I give it up, I let it go, I'm going to just say, I'm done. And there's two things that can happen with that. You can let it go, but you also open yourself up to embrace like whatever good stuff is going to come your way. And so that's really what it came down to. There wasn't a scenario. He did end up turning 21 and I wasn't yet 21, and I didn't want that to be a thing. Like, you're going out to the bars, fine, go out to the bars and you do your thing and I'll do my thing, and I'm fine with that. But it wasn't that. It wasn't that there was an absolute like, this has to stop because he's 21, I'm not. It was a personal development piece. It was me realizing that I am not that person that he had said I was supposed to be, and I certainly value myself more than he did. And so I needed to find myself and let myself go for that next piece. And that's, again, a big piece that I'm teaching with the Strong Girls boot camps, is that with the women that are in it, with the girls that are in it, if you can really embrace who you're meant to be, if you can take that self-esteem and you can build it up and you can raise them up so that they realize, I'm valuable, I'm loved, I'm amazing, I'm brave, I'm smart, I'm fierce, I'm brave, whatever those words might be. I just said brave twice because I love brave. But being brave is like going out on a limb. It's taking those chances. And so like embracing who you're meant to be, and then really like lifting yourself up to be able to overcome whatever the world throws your way, means that you're less likely to put yourself in scenarios that are going to make you feel bad. So I was raised to be a strong girl. I just lost myself for a little while in there because I thought I had put myself in a corner, and I have to be this person that's then going to go get married to this person that treats me really, really badly because I moved out, and then, you know, all of these other choices. Or I needed him to help support me in my financial woes because I was a poor high school student, whatever those things might be. Or he defined me because my friends, or all of his friends were my friends, and they were the only friends I had at that point. Realizing that anyone who's a real true friend to you will still stick with you no matter what. And that any negative in your life you can let go so that you can open yourself up to that positive. It's just incredibly valuable.
I totally agree. I think the biggest part that I took away from that is just like growth in general just has to continue to happen. And as you said, like it was a personal development thing. You know, you just came to the realization like enough was enough and that you needed to grow past that.
Right.
And the personal growth part of it is like, that's true. If you're not being brave and you're not being fearless and like living your life more, then you aren't growing. If you're in your comfort zone and you're staying there, nothing grows in our comfort zones.
Right.
We have to get out and do those things, and that's where the growth comes from, is doing hard things. And we're raised to do hard things. We are strong girls, and I think that it's amazing the foundation of what you're building with those boot camps with girls, because 1,000% we need that more than ever in the society that has been cultivated over the last generations, with women and image and you know, you have to be smart, but you have to be beautiful, you have to be everything, and pulling all that together. So I absolutely love everything that you stand for, and the fact that you pull in like the physical things I think is amazing, because I agree with everything you said about, you know, not just sitting at home watching TV and just doing the regular things that everyone else does, but encouraging people to get out and find their own way, as girls and as women. And I think that's really encouraging, and we just need more of that for sure. So what specific advice would you give about overcoming fear in general? I know you've gave a lot of nuggets and advice, but just like, what advice would you give overall for like overcoming fear in general?
So that would actually probably go back to a time when I was in military training, and I thought that I had to stick through things even if it was super, super tough. I actually had a woman tell me that I would never make it through officer training because I was not just a woman, but I better not show emotion. I better not show fear. I better not, I had to be tougher, stronger, braver, smarter, and stronger, and just basically like dead set on what my future was going to be without having any of those things, or I would never become an officer within the military. And so when you set your dreams on something, where I'm going with all this is, if you set your goals and if you set your eyes on something and that's what you want to do and that's what you want to accomplish, you can do those things. You can do hard things if you keep putting one foot in front of the other. That's how you overcome, no matter what the difficult thing is in front of you, is keep moving forward and put your eyes on why is it that you're doing it. Your why and your how is the next piece. So from her, I came to find out that it was not just because I was a woman that she was being so like forthright on saying you have to be all these things and don't you dare show emotion because you're a woman, because they'll eat you up. Instead, it was because I was a pretty woman. And so if you're going to be a pretty woman, you better be even better than the not so pretty woman that's trying to do the same things that you're doing. And she told me that she was going to make it her goal to not let me ever become an officer within the military. And so I actually did end up leaving the service that I was in at that time, and decided that my family was more important than the Army was to me at that point in time. But I then have gone on and I've commissioned in the Air Force. So I would like to say thank you for inspiring me to that nice, wonderful woman.
Right.
But realizing that in life, like all the things that happen to you, all of the negatives that happen to you, all of the things that make you feel like they're giant setbacks in the goals or like your life dreams that you have. Like looking back at where I was, first off, when I was like 20 years old, I think I'm like still like 20 years old, but looking back at who I was then, and like these goals and dreams that I had for my life, and every single thing is like this little stepping stone of, I'm going to do this with my life. And then if that didn't work out, I'm going to do this with my life. And if that didn't work out, I'm going to do this with my life. Because my greatest failures have led to my most amazing successes. So your story does not define you, but it's a piece in who you're meant to be. And do not let your failures keep you down. Do not let your failures make you stop from stop you from pursuing your dreams, from going after your goals, because each of those little pieces plays a role in this fantastic future of who you're meant to be. So like big picture, and heartbreaking enough is when we talk about like suicide and anxiety and depression being as high as it is right now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big pieces of what we kind of train with our boot camps, is just how valuable girls are and where they're going to be in the future, to put their eyes on that prize. Realizing that whatever happens to you right now, you still have an amazing thing that you have yet to offer this world. You are here for a reason. You have a purpose, and it's going to be amazing. And if you don't know what it is yet, just wait. We can't wait to find out what it is. So we're going to be here to support you however we can, but be ready to like step up and be ready to like keep setting your eyes on that next prize. Keep moving forward to whatever your goals are. And even if you fail along the way, you've still made progress. Don't ever give up on what your future is meant to be and what your goals are, because it's going to be amazing, whatever it is.
Oh, I love it. That was such a motivational, like, woo, go girl, you go girl.
Right. I'm big on the motivation.
I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so clearly you've really started to master over the years how to move through the fear and step out of your comfort zone. So now that you are living more fearlessly, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Because it's funny, you brought that up earlier, and I was like, oh, 5 years. I love projecting, manifesting, looking to the future and dreaming of these things. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, in the next 5 years, I'm really hoping that I will have multiple people come back. Like I've had a couple of the moms and the girls in my groups come back and say, because of you, my life has changed. Because of you, you've impacted me in such a way that I can now impact others' lives in an amazing way. So, and it's not like a self-serving, that's not, I don't want people like literally to be like, oh, because of you, Meghan Skrepenski, you are so awesome and you changed my life. I want them to be like, because of the trainings you offered, because of the support you offered, because of the friends that I made through your boot camps, because of the fact that I developed into this person that I'm meant to be, I now can like impact this world in an awesome way. So my real goal is to be able to say in 5 years, I have reached thousands of people in a much greater way, so that women and girls can feel better about themselves, that they learn how to embrace who they are as a person, that they learn how to encourage and uplift others, that they learn how to stand together instead of against each other, and that they learn how to embrace who they're meant to be, so that they don't let this world hold them down no matter what their past was. They're going to be amazing. And so I hope that I can have a huge impact in a positive way in this world.
I have no stinking doubt about that. I love your fire for your passion for getting the word out more about girls like standing up and being who they are, but also that key part that you said of standing together and really getting rid of that mean girl mentality. I remember the first time I talked to you and you made this big shift in my head about the affirmation mantras, whatever people call them, but then also adding like you are too in the end of it. Like that was huge for me when I first talked to you, because I do them with my daughter. And when you said that to me, I was like, that's a really good point, that, you know, showing girls that women are not competition. We are collaborators. We can do it together, and we can do way harder things when we form together too, and have each other's backs and support one another. So I love that part that you always just add right in the end there, because that's a huge takeaway for me, especially, that some people might miss if they're not paying attention. So I love that so much.
Yeah, it's a huge piece, because I think in this world, all too often we are taught that it's a competition. It actually starts very, very early on. If you have more than one kid, your kids compete for your attention. And if you have, if you're coaching a team now, which kid is the best? Are they going to get more attention? Or which kid is the worst? Are they going to get more attention? You know, so it's this balance, this competition that starts very, very early on in life, even in classrooms, even in daycare centers. It's either the best kids that get the attention or the worst kids get the attention. And like the middle ground kids don't get a whole lot of attention. But when we realize that you don't have to be the best or the worst in order to be that person that stands out. You just need to be that person that's kind and thoughtful and uplifting, the person that stands behind everyone else. Teaching our kids the value of standing together is huge. And that's where like the anti-bullying thing comes into play, and the big role that I really want to have that huge impact, that huge change in this world, is realizing for kids especially, a bully's not the person, you know, on a computer that's saying the wrong thing. It's not the person that's standing on the playground and saying the wrong thing. It's not the person that's in a room saying the wrong thing. It's everyone else that stands back and goes, that looks bad, or I don't want to get involved. You know what? Teach your kids how to stand up and speak up. Let's do that for ourselves. Let's do that for our communities. Let's do that in this world. When you see something that's wrong, speak up. Be ready to take it on. And when you stand up, guess what? There's going to be other people that stand up and go, yeah, you're right. That's wrong. Knock it off. And all of a sudden we realize that we can stand together, and we are much stronger together than we ever could be alone. That's where the Me Too movement comes in. That's where the, you know, stronger together comes in. That's that phrase of let's be the next, you know, the change we want to see in this world. Stand together. So yes, absolutely. We are stronger together than we ever could be alone.
I love that so much. Well, okay, so I love everything about Meghan, and you guys need to connect with her. So Meghan, where can everyone go connect with you? Where's the best place?
So we are on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of that at raisingstronggirlsbootcamps.com or Raising Strong Girls. But we actually are also under the header or under the mother company of Raising Strong Bootcamps, because we feel that this training needs to be available for everybody. So Raising Strong Bootcamps serves girls, families, and kids. So boys and girls together.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad that you got to get on here and share more about you personally, and as well as the boot camps, because you're going to be changing so many people's lives, and you already are. So I'm so grateful for your time and coming on and sharing more with us about that. And viewers, if you're watching, you need to go connect with Meghan, see what the boot camps are all about, and go to Madison, do one of her boot camps. I've heard just amazing things. I can't wait to check it out for myself and bring my daughter there. So thank you very much for your time, Meghan.
So much. Yeah, it was so great talking with you. It's so wonderful to see other women that really want to encourage and uplift others. So I appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we can stand together and support each other and just helping more women. I think that's amazing. So I love you very much. Very much. I'm so grateful for your time. And
thank you.
And guys, remember to love yourself and live fearlessly. Thank you.
Thank you.